we're back with Janice Beaton, and we're tasting some wonderful cheeses and wines from Atlantic Canada, mostly Nova Scotia, where Janice joins me today from Cape Breton, where all the good people come from. That's an insider joke. My parents are from Cape Breton. Janice and her sister and family are from Cape Breton. But we are focused on these beautiful wines and cheeses. Janice, let's start with the ash crust cheese. I must say that the one you suggested for me just looks nasty. I mean,
I think so. I think it's beautiful, Natalie.
Really? Look at it! Woo! Are we supposed to eat this whole like the not the whole thing, but like the outside too?
Yes, the outside too.
It's fuzzy. It's fuzzy.
No, I don't think you'd have made it back, 100 years ago in France when they were using wood ash, real ash, on the surface of these cheeses, which is what they are simulating those cheeses from ancient times, even though it's not necessary anymore because they were used a lot for protecting the cheeses, but also the ash supported the cheese in developing acidity. So, you wouldn't have, I don't think you'd have done so well back then.
Times change.
Times change. Here we are.
Thank
I mean,
goodness for
it's an aesthetic. It's an aesthetic today.
And look at this. When you break it open, we've got a nice little, this looks attractive inside here. I want to peel this cheese, though, but it gives taste. The crust gives the taste as well.
No, in fact, what we typically say in the shop is that, in fact, that it's purely aesthetic. This is not the wood ash of days of yore. This is just a sort of an organic matter that's been used to give the same effect visually, but it doesn't really impart any flavor whatsoever.
Do I have to eat it?
You don't have to. We always say that. But we do encourage people to try things in small little bits. You might surprise yourself.
Okay.
I mean, rinds in general, and maybe that's a little a moment to say, unless you can see that a rind has, wax or dye or something, on it that's a foreign, that's not a food substance. I mean, we always encourage people to try rinds because oftentimes they contribute a great deal to the overall experience of the cheese, and both texturally and flavor-wise. So we do encourage people to try them, and then you're at choice. If you don't want to eat them, if you don't like the taste, then just stick with the paste, which is the center part of the cheese.
This is good. Okay, this is good. Wow, I can't even taste those fuzzy parts. I mean, it all tastes really good.
Great. I had a feeling you'd feel that way. Although I don't have Cendrillon here, I was really sticking to my my roots here, and we just have cheeses from Eastern Canada today. But
so which one do you have?
So I have a cheese called Mountain Ash, and it comes from a company called Rancher Acres, and these folks have been making cheese for more than 20 years in Aylesford in Nova Scotia, so on the mainland, and it's really lovely. It's texturally, Natalie, compared to yours, this is a much drier, flintier paste. So and it has I'm guessing it's about probably 6 weeks old. So it's what you have is probably a little bit less, but it's got that very typical Loire Valley goat cheese, flinty, dry texture. As goat cheeses age, they often move from sort of a citrusy, lemony citrusy more than any other flavor. They go into more mineral notes, and that's what I'm getting from this one. It's a little bit more of a mineral flavor profile.
Mineral meaning like wet stones, or how would you describe the taste of? Yeah, okay, like that's what
I
we
would say wet
in wine.
stones. As I'm tasting this right now,
that's what we describe. Yeah, for wine, because that's a hard one to get your head around. Minerality, like it's sometimes a texture, sometimes a taste, but I get what you're saying, and that is a lovely. I really do get the goat cheese flavor here, but it's light and beautiful at the same time. Yeah. And
I think that the Tidal Bay wines of the or Tidal Bay varietals of the drier end of the spectrum would be better with the goat cheese, both the one you have and the one I've got.
Okay.
But you're ahead of me. You've got 3 Tidal Bays on the go, and I just have the one. So
that's my usual case. I'm usually ahead of people on the wine. 3 to 1 is my ratio.
Girl.
It works.
Well done.
Yeah, thank you. From Cape Breton, did you know?
Yes.
Oh, that's really nice. The Yost, again,
Yes,
very floral, a bit drier, I think, than the Luckett,
yes.
but I love that.
I did try hard to get the Yost Tidal Bay here, and every NSLC I went to said, they're just not allocating us any, so
Uh,
it must be going to Central Canada.
yeah, I guess we're
More
hogging.
so,
Yeah,
more so than it's staying here. Than it's staying here at home. But it's just great that people are looking for it. So that's the great thing.
absolutely, absolutely. Would you pair any other types of wines, whether from Nova Scotia or elsewhere? Do you think that this sort of an ash crust goes with a certain wine type, or are they all light, zesty white wines, kind of?
Well, I would say more than the surface coating, Natalie, just the style of goat cheese itself. Actually, both the one you have, but maybe more so the one, even more this one, because it is more of a patterned after Loire Valley, classic Loire Valley goat cheeses. Sauvignon Blanc would be, a shoe-in for this one. It would be a great partner to the cheese that I'm tasting.
Absolutely.
But Chenin Blancs aren't so bad either. I've had some Chenins that are on the drier side that work really well with this style of wine. I think that Chenin or Sauvignon Blanc both would work too with the Sangria that you're tasting. But that's often my go-to varietal with with goat cheese is Sauvignon Blanc.
It's your go-to. Sorry.
Very clever.
Bad
See,
joke.
Kate Breton.
Bad. Okay, let's move on before I lose it with the puns. What else have we got here? We've got two other cheeses. Which one would you like to taste next?
Well, I think we should go to the Old Growler from That Dutchman, and I know that you have the wonderful Lancaster from Ontario.
Oh, yes.
So
Okay.
yeah, and I think we've each ended up, although we don't have the same cheese, I think we have cheeses that are very similar and both very, very delicious. So I'm going to take a sliver without further ado.
I want to visit That Dutchman cheesery. What do you call it? A fromagerie?
Yes.
When you visit the actual place. He sounds like he has a lot of creative names and cheeses there.
He's a character. He's great. He does great, great work. And it's a beautiful spot in Upper Economy on the Bay of Fundy. I mean, it's worth it going to his farm. They have nature trails and all kinds of things. I mean, you can, if people have kids, it's a wonderful place to go and hang out. There's gardens outside where you can eat and beautiful. And the cheesery itself is really lovely. And he makes fabulous product. Yeah.
And so this is
This is so good.
well, mine is too. This is the Lancaster aged Gouda, but you've got the Dragon's Breath. We're starting
No, the Dragon's Breath will do last. So
okay,
just for our viewers, we're going to taste two cheeses from That Dutchman, which is the name of the company.
right.
In Upper Economy. But the first one we're tasting is the one called Old Growler. He makes a wide range of Goudas, some flavored, some not. But the Old Growlers, there's a number of them, but what sets them apart from his other Goudas is that they're 12 months or older. And I think he's aged them up to as many as 4 or 5 years. So you get into, as he said, they call those the hammer and chisel Goudas. Because that's pretty much what you need to use to cut them at that stage. They get so dry. But they're very, very dense, caramelly, delicious cheeses. So, but this one I would say that I'm tasting is closer to 12 months. And again, it has beautiful caramel notes. But what I love is that there's still a tang. It's not just a kind of a sweet flavor. There's a balance of tanginess and sweetness. And you'll notice we often get questioned about cheeses that have what we call in the store crunchy bits. So those crunchy bits are the crystallization of amino acids in the proteins of the milk, meeting up with calcium with salts. So the combination of the calcium salts and the protein amino acids create those little crunchy particles that people really find, I think, very appealing in cheese texture. So when you get so that starts as cheese ages. I mean, sometimes you can get cheeses that may be as young as 5 or 6 months that have that development, but as the cheese ages more, you'll get more and more of those crunchy particles.
I am loving the crunchy bits.
Yeah, aren't they fun?
Oh, I just want to keep eating.
That's great.
So, which wine would we move to the Nova 7 for this one? Do you think?
Well, I think
Or Tidal Bay?
I think I'm going to taste it because I still have a little Tidal Bay in my glass. I'm going to try it, and then I'm going to pour a little of the Nova 7 and see what happens.
I like that. I like your analysis, yes. That's the Tidal Bay. I'm going to open the Nova 7, which just hit the shelves up here in Ontario. A big splash. Of course,
that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. It's made by Benjamin Bridge in Nova Scotia, and their Rosé Sparkling was one of the wines, one of only 2 wines, selected to represent Canada at the Olympics this summer. So,
well, kudos to them. They're making some great wines.
They
chin
are,
chin.
aren't they? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's that's a lovely. If you can still get your hands on this one.
Wow, it's so refreshing, but it's got that frizzante, that little bit of effervescence.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Again, that's a great quality in a wine when you're having it with cheese. We often say that if you had to choose just one thing to have with cheese, and I think some people might argue food in general, champagne is the way to go, and it's our sparkling wine. But it's bubbles, that effervescence, and the acidity together that really do a great job when it comes to how they partner with cheeses. So
literally cleansing your palate, like it always sounds like a stuffy term, but there's a real concept behind that, in that cheese is very mouth coating because of the lovely fat that is our friend, but then the champagne or sparkling wine zips in there with the bubbles and the acidity and just washes that all away, so that the next bite tastes almost as good as the first, if not as good.
I couldn't have put it better.